Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news and notes mashup video today, starting with Fabio Wardley, with the Ring reporting that Fabio Wardley is set to face Jarrell Miller with a fight to be finalised for June the 7th at Portman Stadium. So this is being reported previously as an option, but remembering Wardley is part of this WBA order where he's meant to face Kubrat Pulev. So who knows what's happened with that, because if they couldn't make a deal, a purse bid would have been called. So I guess they're looking at Fabio Wardley's options and going, what is the best next step for him? I would have thought the order for the WBA was a good route with Pulev and then Michael Hunter if he beat Pulev, and then went on to face Michael Hunter, who was the third leg of that order. But, I mean, I like the fight, a big stadium fight for Wardley against Miller, and I think Miller off the PEDs certainly does not have as much gas, is not the Energizer Bunny as we've seen, and it can, as we saw against Danny Ruiz Jr. and I guess Daniel Dubois, a certain amount of gas he has to manage himself more actively. Wardley, though, obviously hasn't fought guys at the sort of caliber of Miller, so it is an interesting fight for a number of reasons, and because Miller is so durable, that will probably also present a few troubles for Wardley, and if he gets careless and if he gets worn down, then Miller might have an opportunity. But I like the fight. So yeah, what do you think of this one if this does in fact get made? I mean, we know that Miller will probably weigh somewhere around 300 odd pounds. Fabio Wardley is on the up, coming off a career best performance against Fraser Clark, where he stopped him in a round in their rematch. I like it. So if this happens, yeah. Meanwhile, Luis Ortiz, who's just turned 46 years old, he is calling out the division. He is saying that fighters are scared, and he's questioning their hearts. So a post on Instagram, I'll play it now.
For all the heavyweights online who think King Kong is retired, want a name, you have to come get it. You have to come get your name. I am ready to fight anyone. All of you champions on the roster, why don't you call King Kong? If that's the best name for you, that's the best name for you who think you're going to pick easy fruit. For Tokyo, for Dubai, for Joshua, for Usyk, for Fury, who is in a cave. For everyone, for everybody.
I guess the first thing I would say about that is it is very strange hearing Luis Ortiz speaking in English, the former two-time title challenger, given he refused to do so in the earlier part of his career. Maybe he couldn't, but he opted to use a translator. So some fighters in those situations, when they do start speaking English, it can take a little bit to get used to. But calling out these names, asking are they scared, all that sort of stuff, saying he's ready. I guess the problem is, at this stage, the risk and reward. I mean, Luis Ortiz has been rather inactive for the most part in recent years. A record of 34-3, and his age, as I say, not listed on BoxRec. It's a notable omission, but it doesn't take much to find it. Just had a birthday at the end of March, 46 years old. But since the Andy Ruiz fight in 2022, just the one fight, which was just over a year ago, and that was down in Cartagena in South America, and it was a one-round knockover job against a journeyman. He did maintain a ranking for a while. I think it was in the WBA, but obviously he's been out of action since then. So just one fight since 2022, and as we saw against Andy Ruiz Jr., he got knocked down a couple of times in that one. Had a little bit of success, but ultimately he lost that one to Ruiz, who Ruiz himself has not also been very active either. So he has been in the gym and training, and you got to say, for a 46-year-old, he's in fantastic shape. But at the end of the day, it's still a 46-year-old who I think many will see as well past his prime. And is there really any credit to be sort of gleaned from facing him at this point? Because the older some of these fighters get, and obviously a little bit of damage accumulates and etc. Father time undefeated, so skills might still look good, but we saw a lot of signs of wear and tear 3 or 4 years ago, and also that Charles Martin fight for Luis Ortiz where he was dropped by a jab. So I think he will make these calls and effectively it's going to lead nowhere. And at this point, I don't think it's a case that people are avoiding him because he's a dangerous fighter. There's just no value for guys to be fighting him now. Otherwise, it just could be some, banana skin potential. I mean, maybe there will be some prospects on the way up who would potentially do it, but the guys that are at contender level and also championship level, they're not looking at Ortiz. He's got nothing for them. I know that might hurt some people's feelings, but that just is what it is. I'm sorry, but he should pack it in. Luis Ortiz, he will keep crying into the wind, and I don't think much will happen for him. Sometimes that just happens, and maybe it is time for him to hang it up. He's made his money. He had a couple of title shots, didn't pay off. Daniel Dubois. So he is targeting a fight with Alexander Usyk or potentially Joseph Parker at Wembley. So you can see here the story from the Ring magazine. He says, definitely July, a big fight in July against Usyk. That's what I want. There's talks, negotiations happening behind the scenes. The two teams are going back and forth. I'm just doing my job as a fighter and staying ready and getting prepared for when I get a call or whoever is next. I'm ready to unleash hell. The Usyk fight could be like the AJ fight, but way bigger. The biggest fight in the world. That's the fight that really excites me, and there's revenge there as well. From that perspective, there is a revenge element. The whole, was it a low blow in the first fight? Did Usyk sort of play that off in terms of making the referee give him some time? Ultimately, he wore Dubois down. Dubois was accused of quitting. So there were some people saying Dubois was an uncrowned champion after that fight. But ultimately, he has redeemed himself with subsequent fights. He picked up the belt that Usyk had dropped, and it would be an undisputed fight. Very big fight, but at the same time, I'm kind of also of the view I would like to see fresh fights. So Usyk versus Parker or Dubois versus Parker. And you could sort of say, given Dubois pulled out sick of his fight with Joseph Parker, does he need to make that one up? Regardless, we're going to get a big fight, no matter who's involved, so I guess we should be happy. Maybe we're getting a little bit picky because we have been spoiled for choice with the Saudis' involvement. So he says the Usyk fight for Undisputed would create history. That would be a massive historic event, just like the AJ fight. The build-up at Leicester Square. It would be amazing to be part of that sort of fight. I'll be the man to stop him. I just see it. I'll be the first man to beat him. Fight news is coming soon. And I guess at some point Usyk will be beaten, otherwise he will just retire. And the older he gets and losing half a step, and that can make all the difference in these sorts of fights, I guess, especially against guys in the peak of their powers. But I'm not sort of saying Usyk would lose to Dubois, but there is the possibility if these two fights that Usyk says he's got left in his career, he could well lose one or both. There is that possibility with an aging fighter who does have, for all intents and purposes, a young man's style. Derek Chisora, though, he says he wants to be the guy to face Dubois next, and he wants it to be at Wembley, saying it will do good business. He says, I want my world title shot with Daniel at Wembley. We can sell out Wembley. Remembering Derek Chisora beat Joe Joyce, beat Otto Wallin, and both of those were unexpected to some degree. Always competitive, always game, and Chisora has just kept on coming and performing. I think those two guys, Joyce and Wallin, certainly subpar to some extent in those fights, but Chisora took the opportunity. He's a high-level, world-level gatekeeper, and he kept the gate closed on them. Now you've got Joyce and Wallin, looking to sort of salvage their careers after losing to him. So he says, I know Daniel pulled out of the fight with Joseph Parker, but he's learning. He's a good fighter, learning his craft right now. People should give him some slack. He will defend his title against me because I know Joseph Parker wants to fight the WBO with Alexander Usyk. Listen, I want that fight. We want good fights and we want good business. If I know good business, it's me and Daniel. Usyk and Daniel Dubois will not sell out Tottenham or Wembley. I know that for a fact. And right now you do have Derek Chisora in pole position in the IBF, rated as the number 2 contender. There is no mandatory, but also the number 1 slot is not filled. So Derek Chisora could be joining on the spot to get a world title and potentially be called the next mandatory challenger to Daniel Dubois' belt. And if you ever thought that you'd be hearing that in 2025, if you'd have sort of said that a few years ago, people would have said you were crazy. I think even back in, was it 2022 or 2023, when Tyson Fury fought Chisora, and we were like, what? How has he ever got a title shot? It's hard to make a case against him having done pretty much enough to get a legitimate shot at a belt, taking down Joyce and Varlene. And to me, that's crazy, and also a testament to Chisora, who just keeps on keeping on. Dillian Whyte is the so-called frontrunner to fight Hughie Fury in Galway in July. Hughie Fury, he recently signed back on with GBM Promotions, and you do have his promoter Izzy Asif saying GBM Sports will be staging an event at Pear Stadium, Galway in July, and Hughie Fury will be on the card. We have had several names in contention as an opponent, all of whom are well known. Dillian Whyte is a front runner for that slot, as we believe that that is a fight which would deliver massively for fans in attendance and watching around the world. We look forward to confirming further details of our Galway event in due course. Yeah, what do you make of that? I would have thought Dillian Whyte would be looking for bigger opponents and potentially better money, but I guess maybe at this point it is a case of take what you can get. Maybe they're also using his name to some extent. Maybe if they've reached out, maybe there's no real active negotiations. It's hard to say, but you'd expect that they'd have to overpay to get Dillian Whyte, because I think Dillian Whyte's one loss away from retirement. He's looked shot in recent years, and if he was to fight Hughie Fury for, you wouldn't think it'd be huge money, and loses, where does he go from there? It's a question. So you have the Polish heavyweight, Damian Knyba. He will take on fellow unbeaten Pole Marcin Siwy, and this will be on the Maliniki and Godzilla whatever card on Saturday, June 21st. I can't even pronounce that. Apologies. Knyba, who has looked pretty good, has advanced to, 15-0, I think it is. Yes, he's been fighting more recently in the United States. He will be facing Siwy, who hasn't fought since facing Kamil Sokolowski in 2022. And Marcin Siwy, for years, was on the cusp of a couple of videos that I used to do, every year or so, Pretender or Contender. He is one of these guys who was building a padded record, not really facing anyone good. The fact that he got a draw with Sokolowski, and I think at the time I remember people saying he didn't deserve it. Anyway, 25-0 with one draw. This, to me, after these years of inactivity, looks like he wants to cash in on the unbeaten record and make some money before sailing out of the sport. So Damian Knyba, 6'8", 6'7" from memory. Decent skills. Obviously, you can't teach height, and he's still building at the moment. So, Top Rank does have a stake in Knyba, and I'll be interested to see how he goes against Siwy. Siwy, one of these guys, like I say, fighting nobody for years. Hard to know how good he really was, but I would expect Damian Knyba will actually take him out here. Another on the comeback trail is Joe Goodall. He'll be facing Bowie Tupou, and this will be on the 26th of April in Brisbane over 10 rounds, and it's for the WBA Oceania heavyweight title. Some of you may remember Bowie Tupou from about a decade ago when he fought Joseph Parker and was sparked in one round. I think Joe Goodall, who's been on the end of some losses where he's been in really competitive fights. Justice Hughie was a good example. There was a couple in the United States as well. Was it a Jugport or Vianello? One or the other. Anyway, he's a decent heavyweight, so I'd like to see him get a win here and then sort of go back and be in some decent fights. Wouldn't mind seeing him against Johnny Rice, actually. Moving on, you've got Danier Pero, who's the brother of Lenier Pero. He will be facing Cesar Navarro, and this will be on Friday the May 9th on an MVP Promotions card in Orlando, Florida. So his brother Lenier just got a deal with Matchroom recently. Currently, Danier has been he's promoted by BoxLab Promotions, who actually promotes his brother, and he has been appearing on some of these Jake Paul cards. Currently 10-0. A lot of talent. He is fun to watch. Still, I think there's a bit of development to come. He does need quite a bit more seasoning. But his promoter, Jake Paul, says Danier has been on a dominant run and defending his WBA Continental USA heavyweight title against a dangerous opponent like Cesar Navarro is exactly the kind of test that will push him to the next level. I think it's a stepping stone, nothing more, but good to see him back. Someone who'll be back soon, and this is kind of a confusing story because different posts in the last few days. You've got Mourad Aliev, the French heavyweight, and then there's a story on the ring that says he'll be facing someone else in May. But anyway, to the Universum Box Promotions promo poster for their June card, Aliev will be returning. Also on that same card, Jose Larduet, who actually lost last time out to Bogdan Myronets, who's kind of like this giant killer, killing off sort of, fringe prospects, took down Jose Larduet. But Aliev, so he's, what is he, 6'5", 6'6", southpaw, can't really knock the skin off a rice pudding, but he's got good skills. I wouldn't mind seeing these two actually face off against each other, but it seems Universum has no ambition to do that. But actually, I'll just get to this comment here. Universum is proud to host the first open-air boxing gala in Germany since the Klitschko's, an unforgettable evening of top-tier boxing and atmosphere charged with excitement. So maybe they mean it's the first one in Hamburg since the Klitschko's, potentially. I remember some recent, in the last couple of years at least, open-air shows. I think Peter Kideru was on one. Agit Kabayel faced Pavel Sauer on one. So maybe they were in different cities. Maybe this is exclusively talking about Hamburg. Anyway, Aliev has been announced in a fight there, but also you do have the ring quoting that he will be fighting for the European title against Labouin Joja on May 23. May have butchered that name. Apologies for that. So Joja actually had fought Alexander Zarkozy, was it in 2024, upset him for the European title. So we'll have to see if this actually happens, but you do have a quote here saying, I think it's a great opportunity to level up for Aliev. He belongs in the mix of the new generation of heavyweights. That's the reason I believe in him, and therefore I spare no efforts to bring Aliev. So that is his promoter. I'm not sure. Anyway, a bit confusing. So he's apparently fighting in May and June. I presume it's not going to be both. Anyway, moving on, and we'll round up this video. So Delicious Orie, who's just turning professional, the former Olympian, he has been named as a Boxwise charity ambassador. And Frank Warren, his promoter, is involved in this charity. You do have Orie having his first professional fight the next day after I record this video. But Boxwise is a charity that helps vulnerable young people stay out of trouble in school or work. So you have Orie saying, I'm thrilled to be an ambassador for such a great concept as Boxwise. The power of boxing in the community is massive, and I've seen it work and practice locally and in what I've done during my amateur days. Boxing and boxing gyms provide an environment that fosters discipline, respect, and inclusion. The programs run by Boxwise serve so many purposes for young people and give them focus to succeed in education or in the workplace. I'm very much looking forward to playing my own part in the program and hopefully being able to do my bit to inspire young people to maximize their potential. So good to see a young professional like Delicious Orie, who's just turning over, already giving back and lending his voice to the Boxwise charity. So yeah, what do you make of it all? Quite a bit going on. What do you make of Luis Ortiz calling guys out at 46 years old? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.